The little rabbit's stormy rescue. The rain fell in thick, heavy sheets, drumming against the forest floor. The wind howled through the trees, bending their branches and sending leaves swirling in the storm. In the middle of a fast-growing puddle, a tiny rabbit huddled on a small patch of dry ground, trembling. His soft brown fur was soaked, and his little nose twitched as he tried to sniff through the wet air. His home, a cozy burrow under an old oak tree, had been flooded in the sudden downpour, and now he was stranded. The water around him was rising, and he had nowhere to go. Lightning flashed, followed by a deep rumble of thunder. The little rabbit squeezed his eyes shut, wishing for the storm to end. But instead, the rain only grew heavier. His small island of safety was shrinking fast. Just as he thought he would be swept away, a new sound cut through the rain, a rustling in the bushes. He opened his eyes to see a large figure moving toward him. It was an old fox, his fur sleek and dark with rain. The little rabbit tensed, his heart pounding. But the fox didn't move like a hunter. Instead, he crouched low, his golden eyes filled with something unfamiliar, concern. "You're in trouble, little one," the fox said gently. "Come, climb onto my back." The rabbit hesitated. Foxes were supposed to be dangerous. But as another gust of wind sent a wave of water over his paws, he knew he had no choice. Taking a deep breath, he leapt onto the fox's back, clinging to his wet fur. With careful steps, the fox waded through the rising flood, his strong legs cutting through the rushing water. The rabbit felt every movement, his tiny claws digging in as the fox kept his balance. The rain pounded down, the wind howled, but the fox never stopped. Finally, after what felt like forever, they reached higher ground, a thick, sheltered part of the forest where the trees stood tall and strong, blocking out the worst of the storm. The fox lowered himself to the ground, and the rabbit scrambled off, shaking out his drenched fur. "You're safe now," the fox said, his voice warm. The little rabbit looked up at his unlikely rescuer, his heart still racing. "Thank you," he whispered. The fox simply nodded before turning back toward the flooded forest. "Be careful, little one," he called over his shoulder before disappearing into the storm. The rabbit watched him go, a new warmth growing inside him. Maybe not all foxes were as scary as the story said. Maybe, sometimes, even the most unlikely creatures could be heroes. And as the rain finally began to slow, the little rabbit curled